I believe 100,000 Kiwis with better financial literacy will create a better New Zealand, and the team at Generate KiwiSaver scheme are helping me reach this goal. Head to generatekiwisaver.co.nz/change to find out more. Welcome back. You are listening to another episode of the best podcast in the country, especially in the financial literacy game.
Just overall.
Yeah. And of no false claims at all. The Keep the Change podcast. It's good to have you tuning in. And Mikey, it is good to see you because it's been some time, mate. I almost feel like giving you a cuddle in the street. But I don't know if you're a cuddle sort of guy.
I can do a cuddle, mate. Yeah. It's been a long time off the mic, eh?
Yeah.
I don't think too many people noticed, though, because we just like banked up before I left. So
yeah,
just got back from the longest sort of trip that I've done in, well, as far back as like when I was a teenager with my parents. It was 17 or 19 days out of the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did that feel, leaving your desk for that long?
Well, man, thank you, Elon Musk. We ended up, I didn't know this, but we ended up with Starlink on the boat, and we were living 190 miles away from any land for 9 or 10 days, and it was very helpful being able to check emails and respond to a few things.
And this is exactly why I brought a Tesla, mate, to support someone like Elon, to then support someone like you when you go away.
Yeah, I don't know if that cash flows over, but...
Okay. Hey, so where were you?
So, yeah, we went to... The place is called the Seychelles, which is middle of, like, the Indian Ocean, off the coast of East Africa, right up by the equator, like, serious heat, man. That's, like, the thing that stuck in my mind the most is, like, you'd get up in the morning and the bedrooms were air conditioned, and you'd walk outside literally under 10 minutes while the sun's coming up, sweating.
Really?
Like insane heat, yeah.
What sort of temperature are we talking degrees?
Well, I don't know. We didn't have a temperature, but it would have been like 35 plus.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah. We got back to Dubai because that was our layover, and it was 31 and it felt cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was pretty
fishing trip?
Fishing the whole time. So
And I believe you might have been shouted partially, is that right?
Yeah, just had to cover flights and stuff, so it was a bit of an invite thing, so pretty special.
Wow. And how had you added so much value to be invited to something like that?
Yeah, I don't really add value to get that, but you know, we get on good.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. He's at the guy who invited me, he's at a different stage of his life and enjoys me and my mate's company, I guess, and we've been invited to a few things with him, and it's very special. I'm very thankful.
Wow. Awesome.
And we always, like, I've done a few trips with this group now, invite, and I've never not had like an amazing time. Like, we're different ages, like me and my mate who go up in our early 30s, and these guys are 50, 60, 70. And yeah, it's just a great time. Just good people.
Trip of a lifetime, you told me.
It was, man. Yeah, it was. Yeah, insane. Once in a lifetime experience. Yeah.
Well, welcome back. And I know that whilst you've been away, you've had a very clear head.
I was telling you about that. I did some deep thinking about a few things. It's weird when you're off in the middle of the ocean, you have a lot of, not spare time because it's pretty hardcore fishing, but you're distracted so much from like the reality of life that when you do start clicking back into thinking about things, you end up just maybe a different perspective, eh? Even meeting like in the Seychelles, the locals are what we would call poor, but like the happiest mindset, eh?
Yeah.
Like it would remind you of like the islands around where we go, like up in the Pacific and stuff like that. Just like such good people, friendly. And then you hear stories about like the issues of their poverty, like 10% of the population there's on heroin.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild. And then you don't meet these people. You can see them walking down the street sometimes. Everyone who's serving you is providing such a nice experience and just interesting stuff. But my brain was like on fire, especially the flights. You know, that Dubai flight's 17 hours. You do a bit of sleep. But really, it was a lot of thinking, eh? And the movies were dog shit, so you just get stuck in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two of my most loved combos are a flight and noise-cancelling headphones.
Yeah.
And then adding in the iPad and the brain does something for me, eh?
Just stop this, man, eh? You cannot.
Yeah, a lot of my the money mails and stuff that I write and best content ideas seem to happen in the air. And I start there and then
It's probably because there's not much room for anything else. You sort of get confined into a space. Like, you know, like I've got to use it for something, and movies these days seem to be crap.
Yeah.
So you're just forced into thinking and writing and coming up with ideas.
The other day I had a drum and bass set playing, because then it doesn't move for 2 hours. So then I'm not like, I don't like the song next, etc. So that's my thinking there. Seems to get me in the rhythm. I'm writing, and I did have a movie on.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the headphones in. So every now and then I'd look up, but it was just Dan Carter, because he's
just
massive.
kicking goals.
Yeah.
And
so I could kind of tell what was happening in there. And it was a story of his journey, and everyone knows that he's a freak and massively inspirational and whatnot. And so I kind of had a little bit of him every time I'd look up. I'm like, oh man, he's kicking another goal. He's winning something else. Oh, now he's lifting a trophy. Now it's Louis Vuitton or something.
He's an inspiring man, that boy.
So I couldn't even hear what was going on, but I'm doing my thing, bit of that, and then carry on. So I think there's something to be said for airplane mode. But anyway, today, mate, how to be proud of yourself.
This topic has come to my mind because Dubai blew me away. It's the first time I've been, and I was only there for a couple of days, but the country carries this sense of pride, and you can feel it. It's what everyone says. Like, it's mind blowing. The infrastructure and the traffic's moving good. They're right. They get traffic jams and stuff, but the motorways are huge. The buildings are gigantic. But like, I got reminded a couple of times about what their GDP goals are. First of all, when you're flying in the plane, as soon as you plug your headphones in, it goes to a podcast automatically, and they're talking with like people in government, people in big companies over there, talking about development, talking about GDP goals. Like, it's automatic, so it catches you.
Where's this? Is this?
It's like propaganda.
But is it? How are you hearing it?
In the plane, you plug your headphones in, go to look for a movie or something, but it's automatically playing, instead of like Air New Zealand's got like a quiz about fucking, how many people were in this movie in 1985 or some shit, So it's almost like propaganda. It's getting jammed into you. And then I saw a billboard on the motorway when we're driving out with the same thing. Like, I saw it a couple of times where it was like, Dubai's GDP will double by 2030. And I thought that was pretty interesting, because if you put that up in New Zealand, it would probably get vandalized. So, and then you can tell just by the tonality of people that you're dealing with and the service you're receiving that they're carrying a sense of pride while they're operating and going about their day. And sure, like, there's stuff there that people can argue about and wouldn't like and stuff like that, but it feels really nice. And I was thinking about, coming back to New Zealand, and as soon as I got off the plane, I was a bit disappointed. It was pretty sad. Like, I got off the plane, and the first person I spoke to when we were walking into duty free, like the first New Zealander, was so grumpy and like just upset to see me almost. And I was like, instant. And then I got home, and then there's like 6 cop cars outside my house, because there's a house up the road that's having like some domestic violence or crime or whatever. And I'm like, haven't seen this for a while. And it just made me think, like, how do you fix that? But first of all, but I think it has to start at a small scale. And the answer is like, if your country's not going to do it for you, you should do it individually and be proud of what you do. And I think this also came up with one of our brokers. We were trying to work through like what it is that you want to achieve and stuff like this. And you want to go to work and work on something to achieve something in the future that you're proud of. Yeah. And I think that we see the same when new parents have babies. Their mindset changes, and they're like thinking on longer term and all of that kind of stuff. And it comes back to like being proud of what you're producing. So when you're going about your day-to-day life, is this action that I'm taking something that I'll be proud of in the future? And I really think it's really important. Because first of all, it instructs you to, if you work along that as a goal, it instructs you to do something. You can't be proud of sitting on the couch, right? There's nothing there to be proud of. You can, if you start a journey on something that's working towards it, you're going to become like a productive human. And you'll find that you'll bump into other people that are on the similar journey, and you end up in different groups that are chasing down their own goals and things like that. But I think it's a really good foundation to try and work on. So, like, I've got a few things in my past that I'm not proud of, and I think everyone will have that stuff. But I think if you get directionally correct and turn into the let's try and work on something that I can be proud of long term, it's pretty hard to go wrong, eh? And it also, I believe it makes you more logical if you're going down that road, because it makes you question everything a little bit more, it makes you become a critical thinker. It just makes you a better human. All from the bloody podcast on the plane to Dubai, mate.
One of my goals is to help 100,000 Kiwis improve their financial literacy and in turn help create a better New Zealand. Generate has a very similar goal to educate and empower Kiwis to make smart KiwiSaver decisions so more of us can be better off at retirement. That's why I'm stoked to have them on board as sponsors. Together, we can reach more people and make this goal a reality. If you've never got KiwiSaver advice before, book a no obligation chat with a Generate advisor at generatekiwisaver.co.nz/change. They'll even put you in the draw to win 5K worth of vouchers just for having a chat, whether or not you decide to sign up. T's and C's on that webpage. A copy of the product disclosure statement is available at generatekiwisaver.co.nz. The issuer of the scheme is Generate Investment Management Limited, and of course, past performance does not guarantee future returns.
Just to tangent a bit, like I got for my 30th birthday present, and I recently turned 33, I got a helicopter ride to Great Barrier Island to go fishing. And I finally used it. We had COVID and weather and all that shit. So yeah, it was nice to go and do it. But yeah, 200 Ks is in a helicopter. Whew, gangster. Yeah. Nice. But yeah, you're never going to be proud of everything that you do all the time. And we're almost wired to like shortcut and take the easy road, and like our brains tell us to do that so much, like be a bit more lazy. And I think when you think of things with pride as the outcome, then it sometimes reminds you to be like, okay, I've got to get off the couch today and go and do this shit. I've got to go and mow the lawns. I've got to go and wash the car. I've got to go and replace the curtains, or whatever the job is. And it keeps you to be like, because I want to be proud of my home, I want to be proud of my car, I want to be proud of my business, I want to be proud of all these things. And I think it's just a gentle, nice reminder that doesn't give you like the confines, or you're not in jail chasing something. You're not like locked down to the point of you can't do anything else. It's just like helping operate as a good human, really. So I think I like the idea of humans being good, and most of us are, and I think this is a good way just to remind yourself, and also it helps you go, cool, I did the right thing today. I know I did the right thing because I'll be proud of that. And that's nice because sometimes no one else will tell you. And giving yourself something like that every now and then is pretty helpful, I reckon.
Yeah, it's an interesting word, proud. I actually looked up the definition because... yeah, I'll go on some tangents after reading the definition, but it says feeling deep pleasure or satisfaction as a result of one's own achievements. So one's own achievements.
Selfish.
Maybe it's okay.
Yeah.
So then, is this a positive word or a negative word? I don't know. Qualities or possessions, or those of someone with whom one is closely associated. The second piece here says having or showing a high or excessively high opinion of oneself or one's importance. This is where I think it gets tricky for Kiwis, because we don't want to be like that. We don't want to have a high or excessively high opinion of oneself or our own importance. And the example given is, in the first, is a proud grandma of 3 boys. Now, everyone wants grandma to be proud of us, when we've got our grandparents in our life, and we don't want our grandparents to not be proud of us. And we're if they said to us, I'm not very proud of you, it probably hurt you. You probably think, shit, what the hell's all that about? And I think for a lot of us, we're trying to make our parents proud. And I don't really know where that comes from, but you hear it all the time where I just want to make my parents proud, or things like that. But this definition says feeling deep pleasure or satisfaction as a result of one's own achievements, qualities or possessions, or those of someone with whom one is closely associated. So we can see why our family may then be proud of us. But the example is, he was a proud, arrogant man.
Yeah, that's
why does it have to be a man, firstly, in this example? And why does arrogance have to come into pride? or being proud. So this is where I think this stuff gets really confusing, and having or showing a high or excessively high opinion of oneself or one's importance. I mean, personally, I think the more you can make yourself proud, the better. Not falsely, but actually setting things that you want to do, staying on the path to do them, and then saying to yourself at the end of it, fuck, I'm pretty proud of that. Now, there's a song that I can remember that resonates with me, and it's Drake, and it's called Talk Up. And it's basically a bit of his journey of kind of like started from the bottom, but what he's done. And it says in it, 10 of us, we move in at once. I'm so proud of who I've become. I think most people, it's easy to sing a song and hear a rapper say that.
Yeah.
But he has to write that down and actually say that.
Yeah.
If he can do it, why can't we do it? And can we do it? Do people do enough in their life that they can at the end of the week go, I'm fucking proud of the person that I've become?
Probably not. I think there's a direct correlation with like disciplining yourself and then being proud as the outcome. And I think that's like everyone's weakness, right? Is being disciplined. Like it's like going to the gym. Like, why don't I have abs?
Yeah.
Because I'm not disciplined enough, so I'm not proud of my abs because they don't exist. So like that's like a very simple way to look at it, but I think it's the same with lots of things. I think, you have to have the discipline, you have to put it in place. And discipline isn't for one day either, which is like a massive mistake. Like I remember when I was younger and I'd get like fired up about something and go and start it. 3 weeks later, I'm like back at the tabby or back at the pub having beers and like it was cool for 2 weeks, and then I realized, oh shit, this is hard, and you go and do something else, and then you end up in this period of my life where I spent at the tabby, which is like I'm not really proud of anything I did in that period.
Yes.
So
why do I keep doing this?
Yeah. And it's interesting, right? Like you can look back and like literally see that and literally know that like my mind almost wants to delete some of it. Like I have to think about it and think about like what was going on then to make me think like that. And to snap out of it, like it's a strange thing. Like eventually I got to the point where I was like, fuck this. I need to like go and take some action and do some shit.
Take some action and do some shit. Come on.
Yeah. And you realize after doing, I realized after doing lots of little things with discipline for a very short period of time and not continuing to focus on them and staying disciplined, there was no achievement coming, or like the journey wasn't really rolling. It was all talk and it was basically all smoke,
Yeah.
And then eventually I was like, right, you got to fucking knuckle down and do this, and like actually be disciplined, do it over a long period of time, take some action, make some big calls, and just commit. And I feel like I'm only just getting started on like my journey and with my family and stuff like that. But if I look back, there's a bit there to be proud of now. It took years.
Yeah.
But at least that's a nicer feeling than what I was feeling back then. And nice. I think everyone should try and have something like that because it is nice. And you go about your day better.
I'm going to take us back to basics, mate, because I think that we're kind of at the end of how to be proud and this is why you want to do it. But going back to someone who's not proud of themselves, so let's call that the unproud person. And we've all been there, and we all will have, even if we are proud of ourselves, I'd imagine we'll have versions of ourselves that we're not proud of. So then if we then look at the unproud version of ourselves and then the proud version of ourselves, then we've got a gap. So we need to identify what's in the gap that then we can work on or remove. So I think a good exercise, for example, could be for somebody to write down when they're not proud with themselves. Write down all the things that they're doing to erode their ability to look in the mirror and say, I'm proud of who I see. And then on the other side of the piece of paper, write down the proud version of yourself and write down the things that you do or would be doing to be that person. And though that is your gap, so how can you, now that you know, how can you decrease the amount of stuff you're doing on the left? Because that's ruining your proudness and maybe even self-confidence.
Yeah.
And then start practicing a bit more of the stuff on the right. And I think this stuff actually goes back to real basics. It's basically like I get up when my alarm goes off.
Yeah.
You know, little things like that are what actually create the momentum.
Yeah.
And then everything starts to happen beyond that, and you can't tie it back to those small things.
Yeah. It's funny, like those little things, like, I don't know, that old Jordan Peterson got given a lot of shit for like telling people to make their bed.
Yeah.
But that's like might be one example of many different things that you can use as, you know, this to start your day type thing. But it's kind of true, like if you to look after yourself and get into a position where you do want to be proud, you have to like delete those things that you're talking about on the left and replace them with things what your ideal you would look like, and then start moving from that column to this column. And it's interesting, like you'll get halfway through and you'll find that shit, life's getting a bit better because you're doing things the way that you know are the right way to do things. And I think it's really strange because it's really logical, but the feeling thing is what you'll get, and you'll end up with confidence, and you'll end up being more sure of yourself. And when people in society is questioning what you're up to, you'll stop giving a fuck, and you'll be able to just be more confident in your day-to-day goings because you inside truly know right from wrong, and for yourself, for the things that you do and what you want to do. And if you can get into the position of where you're confident in that, man, watch out. You're going to be strong.
Yeah.
And I think we get a bit beaten up in New Zealand, with like tall poppy and, you know, it's jammed down our throat all the time about, you know, we've got to look after this and the healthcare's failing and the infrastructure's fucked. And like, if you look for it, everything is negative. And I think if a great way to start making sure that you care less about that stuff or try and block it out is to make sure that you feel like you're doing the right stuff. And you'll stop worrying about that less because you'll be like, you might end up with a podcast trying to help people do it for themselves or something, you know? And I think it's just such a good way to operate, man.
Yeah, I'm very lucky that I've been told a number of times that two things. One, that people are proud of me, which just reinforces in yourself that you should be proud of yourself. And I'll get to telling myself that I'm proud of myself because that's something I do.
I don't do that.
We can probably compare why I do, maybe why you don't. But then also, you know, people, you know, saying that to me, you should be proud of yourself. So not only that they're proud of me, but you should be proud of yourself. And there's something with the word proud. You know, I was recently at a wedding and my parents were there and somebody met them for the first time and they said, you must be very proud of your son. And like, when someone else is saying that to you as parents, what are you going to go? Like, oh, not really. Yeah, he's a piece of shit. You know all the other stuff.
Your parents will love it more than you.
They're like, oh, yeah, we are. And like, he's genuinely serious, saying like, you must be really proud of this boy. You know? And then they're going into why they're proud of me. So I'm very lucky that I hear that a lot. And I think some of that, well, a lot of that now is because I've done a lot of shit. Yeah. So then it's people.
All he's got to do now is buy the house.
Yeah. I'm letting everyone down. Yeah. So I think along that journey for me, I could see to get to that point, to have other people say that they were proud of me and to say to my parents and to my partner and different things like, wow, you must be really proud of this guy. That only happens if I do the stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit that goes into getting that one word result right from someone else. Like that one word is basically a recognition that someone goes, oh yeah, even with all the tall poppy and everything, it's like, oh yeah, nah, he's put some work in. He's put some fucking hours in, or like he's put effort into becoming more knowledgeable. Like that's what it means, really. And it's like vindication that someone else is kind of seeing your work.
And I think that everybody's got their own different definition of what would therefore make someone proud of themselves, or why they would be proud. You know, if, for instance, that person telling my parents, they obviously see things that I've done and go, well, your parents must be proud, like they have to be. But someone else might have a different definition of like, oh, well, that's nothing to be proud of.
Yeah, that's fine too. Just don't give a fuck.
Yeah. But I think going back to the definition, it comes back to, feeling deep pleasure or satisfaction as a result of one's own achievements, qualities, or possessions, or those of someone whom one is closely associated with. So I think individually we'd have to work out what would make ourselves proud of ourselves. If we want to figure out how to be proud, you have to make a decision for yourself and figure out what that is. And if you don't do that, then you're probably going to do things and they will happen in your life that you don't want to do. And then you will go, I'm not very proud of myself for that. But did you actually write down or know before you did that wasn't going to make you proud of yourself?
Yeah.
So, have some sort of goal to aim for or definition of it so that you can get, like you said before, directionally correct towards it.
Yeah, man. It's so true, eh? Just those basics. And you don't have, like, we'll talk about, like, listening versus actually hearing what you want to hear. And, oh, shit.
Okay, we got to blow out.
Oh, no.
Live on the pod.
Like,
Are you proud of yourself?
oh, fuck.
We can keep rolling, mate.
We'll just keep rolling, but
this is good entertainment for the pod.
Go, eh? I'll just have a little sip of that. Thank you.
Mikey's been out of the country for a while, and I think he might be a bit antsy. He keeps touching his mic and all sorts.
I'm all over the show.
That's right, mate. We adapt.
iPad's waterproof?
I guess we're about to find out. Yeah, maybe I'll put it down on my pants in the meantime.
Shit.
What were you saying?
Mate. I don't even know
It's
what I was
just
talking
wild,
about.
this pod now.
Yeah.
So this is random, mate, but I'm a bit of a weirdo, right? So I'm a bit of a...
You are.
Yeah, and like I'm probably that second definition of he thinks more highly of oneself. But I kind of decided, this is how I decided, how to be proud of myself. Well, I should do more things that would make myself proud of myself and less of the things that wouldn't. So sometimes, mate, Taz says to me, I'm really proud of you, which is really nice. I'm very lucky that I have a partner that can say to me, I'm really proud of you. However, because I'm such a psycho, I'm like, I know, so am I.
That's the arrogant part in your definition there.
Yeah. But I don't mean that being like, oh yeah, I fucking know, I'm the man, whatever. It comes from a place of, yeah, because I could have been a massive piece of shit. And my life is very different to how it could have been. And I've been very lucky to have some second chances and things where my life could have looked very different. But I've also identified some things that I would like to be doing to then go, yeah, you know what? You can be proud of that. And so when I hear that, I acknowledge it, and it's really amazing to hear. At the same time, I've taught myself to be like, it's okay to tell yourself that you're proud of yourself. And literally sometimes I will say, I might be driving, I'll be like, fuck, you should be proud of that. Or, 1 million downloads for Keep the Change, for instance.
Gangster.
Yeah. And people are like, oh,
Even I said that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am. And I'm like, but I'm proud before I get to the million because I know that I'm directionally correct, if that now ties back to that. So it's epic. But I'm like, okay, so this comes to another point, is that then I have to celebrate that, and I have to celebrate things that happen, because the same day that I hit $1 million, $1 million downloads, I have a staff member resign. So I was like, fuck, now I got to fix that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's exciting. Yeah, cool. Park it. Got to solve this.
Yeah.
But I knew that million was coming because I'd been keeping an eye on it, and I knew it would happen at some stage, and I just kind of forgot about it because it's not massively important to me. I'm not like every day I'm going to check and all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, I might have gone past the million. So I went and I'm like, oh, I have. I was like, oh, epic.
Everything's just cranking and you just got to remind yourself to check.
But I'm like, okay, I need to stop and celebrate that moment. And I think this is really brave, but I think we as New Zealanders could get better at just saying openly to our families, to our partners and stuff, like, I'm really proud of myself because I have just cracked 1 million downloads, or I've stacked my first $1,000. I've got an emergency fund. I've gotten rid of my, my debt payments and stuff like that, or my buy now, pay later. And I'm going to celebrate by doing X, Y, Z. Do you want to come? Or like just letting you know that I'm pretty proud of myself and I'm doing this. And so, yeah, if you want to be a part of the celebration, then come along. Might be dinner or whatever. Because I think we're so hard the other way. We're like, oh, keep your head down. Don't think too much of yourself. This is New Zealand. We're fucking humble around here. All this shit. Well, that's all good and well. But like, if all of the greatest Kiwis are acting like that, then where are the ones that we can go, oh, shit, they are proud of themselves. Like deep down, I had to listen on a podcast and I heard this 20-second snippet where Peter Beck said he's proud of himself. Like, oh, fuck, it's okay to be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think we need to get like a little bit better at it. Look at Dubai, obviously, like, we're proud of our country.
Yeah, man, it's so noticeable over there.
We want you to move here.
Yeah. They're basically telling you in the nicest way possible that this country ain't stopping, and if you want a piece of it, you can come here. Just leave your country.
Yeah,
like constantly. It's a barrage of pride.
Yeah.
It's I'm probably a little bit more like the Kiwi.
Yeah.
Like what you're talking about in terms of, like, I sort of just keep a lot of my shit to myself. Like, it's really hard for me to, like, I've got my content guys and they're like, you've got to share this stuff.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself to do it because I just, like, one of the things that I think I got good at was not caring about what others think. And that doesn't really align with like sharing about your success and being proud of your, and it's helped me a lot. And it is, like I say, it's one of my superpowers is not caring what other people are up to, but the other product of that is like not sharing what you're up to.
Yeah, and I think you almost then don't put as much weight on the things you do achieve yourself because you're just like, well, other people, like, who cares what other people think? Then you kind of teach yourself a little bit not to think it's that important as well, which I get.
I say to myself, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, and every now and then I'll text you being like, never thought I'd have like over 10 people.
And one of them just got an award, right? And I said to you, man, you should be really proud of that because if you don't start, you don't change their life. Yeah. They can't change their life.
And then my head's like,
but I need 20.
Yeah. But my head's like, oh, it's starting.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much more to go. Like, maybe I'll be proud when I'm done.
And that's where I think the celebration piece is important because it then forces you in the moment to then go, like, oh, yeah. So, you know, like I went out and brought something as an example for that 1 million downloads that I would never in my life have thought that I would buy.
Yeah.
But now it's there and it's actually part of the reason I've then swapped the money for it as a reminder of like,
can we know what it is? Or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'll wear it at some stage.
It's going to be horrendous.
It's going to be horrendous. I guarantee you.
I've seen some of your clothing options on celebrations and
they're horrific, aren't they?
It's not just another, you didn't buy like the box set of the David Beckham deodorant?
Oh, that's a great idea. No, I didn't get a cologne this time. Okay. I didn't get a cologne, but yeah, if you want to get me a present.
Mate, you would love the Dubai duty free. Holy shit.
Did you take any pictures? Where are they?
I should have, I should have actually. This is the thing, yeah. It's just wild in there. The cologne store was like the size of the warehouse.
Oh, get me over there. Yeah. I do. Dubai is interestingly one of those places that I do want to get to.
It's good just to go because like we went to the Dubai Mall and it's got inside the mall, it's got the biggest aquarium in the world. Like there's shops everywhere and there's sharks swimming past you.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild. Like the shit's out the gate. Kiwis have no understanding of money. We think if you make 180 grand in New Zealand, you know, like that's rich.
Tax them more. They don't need it.
Yeah. To tax them, give it to someone else.
Yeah.
Like, nah. These guys are printing cash.
Unreal. On the celebrate piece, I wrote down as well, celebrate is greater than compare. Because I think that's what we do. We don't allow ourselves to be proud of ourselves for an achievement. We run a marathon, then we're like, oh yeah, I'm pretty proud. But we don't say that. We're just like, hey, I ran a marathon. This is awesome. And what we do is we then go, we run the marathon and we're like, oh, but fucking Sally that I know did it 3 minutes faster than me. Oh, but did you run the marathon to have a faster time than Sally, or did you run a marathon to become somebody who can run a marathon?
Yeah.
So celebrate your fucking marathon.
Yeah.
I think in New Zealand we're really bad at, I did this, but Dan Carter did. He kicked at 83% in his career, or whatever. He could kick off both feet. So stop comparing, start celebrating. And I think the more you can set goals, achieve them, celebrate them, versus compare yourself to others along the way, then it's way healthier. Because if you get stuck in the comparison channel, you're either comparing yourself against other people and you don't know their start line, you don't know what they've got going on, you don't know how much debt they owe to the IRD, you don't know no shit. You only know what you know about yourself. So if you get stuck over there, then the second part of it is that you can then fall into the trap of like comparing yourself to who you can be, which we probably live over there a little bit because you're like, right, I know I can do more and I know my potential and stuff. So then you start to struggle.
You got a waterfall over here.
There's water leaking somewhere. Oh, Jesus, my MacBook there too.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, it's there.
We've had an absolute fucking mess.
Apple products are waterproof. Can someone...
Sorry, mate, this is a fucking...
The microphone just picked that up. We'll get out of here shortly.
Oh, man, fuck me. Sorry.
You can end up comparing yourself to who you know that you could be, and that's where things get tricky too. That water is literally leaking all over the
cables and shit.
Yeah. Let's abort this one. Hey mate, I'm proud of you. Even if you come in here, you tip water everywhere.
Man, I've just completely fucked everything.
Maybe we'll do a how to be proud of yourself part 2.
Yeah, okay, sweet.
See you in the part 2. Apologies for the short intermission there, as Mikey got excited about aquariums in the Dubai airport and decided to tip his water all over me. Cheers for that, mate.
Yeah, mate. Sorry, that was an absolute mess.
Let's finish off this how to be proud of yourself pod, because I think it is a very important one, mate. I don't know where we got to, but I'll take us back to something that I think is really important, is when you were saying about how you can see the things that are happening in your life that you're not overly stoked about. And you're like, why do I keep doing this shit? I know exactly. And my brain took me to a time of my life where I was doing exactly that. And fuck, it just took so long to get through.
Yeah.
And I'd get back to it and I'd be like, oh, I've done it again. And I think what it is that your proud self, so the person you want to be, is fighting with your current version of yourself. So that you know you want to change, you know you want to go to the gym, you know you want to start saving, you want to start a side hustle, for instance, and send that message, but you're stuck in the comfort zone and the familiarity of being who you are, because you know that world. And you know what your friends think of that. And so everything over there and that more proud version of yourself is a bit scary. But that's good, because it's your body telling you like you're on the right path, because you're trying to get away from what you know is comfortable, which we know nothing really good happens there anyway. So we might as well head over to this better version of yourself. But we can't do that unless we actually itemize out what are the things that I'm going to do that are going to make me proud of myself. And I think for me, one of the things that I wanted to do, that I knew if I did more of that would make me proud of myself. And I didn't give a fuck if my parents were proud, if anybody was, this is a personal thing, was that if I could contribute more, that I would be proud. And whether that be in a sports team, so that meant showing up to training, it meant being a strong part of that, it meant being able to donate to things that I cared about, it meant being able to do things like this. And so then all the sexy things that pop up along the way, where you crack 1 million downloads for Keep the Change, people are like, oh fuck, that's awesome, you should be really proud of yourself and stuff. It's like, yeah, I am, because I'm directionally correct towards contributing. And that's where I think it becomes very individual. So
yeah,
my just strong message is stop trying to make your parents proud and spend more time trying to make yourself proud. And only you can know how to do that. And if you do that, your parents, people who speak to your parents, your grandma, and people around you will tell you that they're proud of you too. And you will get what I mean when I say like, yeah, I know, because like, I'm pretty proud of myself now too.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Like if you go down that road and you get to the point where you're quite proud of what you've done or what you're working on or whatever, the parents and stuff will reignite the pride anyway.
Yeah.
Like they're going to be proud regardless, and you didn't have to chase it to get it. You did what you wanted to do and how you were going to do it. Yeah, it's an interesting one. One of your things that's very noticeable for me, probably because I spend a bit of time with you, is like your output is greater than what you take in. Like you live by that, right?
Yes, my number one value. Yeah, output over input.
Yeah. So like if you're consuming content, as an example, you're making sure that the content you're creating is more than what you're consuming. And you just live by that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very noticeable. And it's pretty cool, right? Like, that's a pretty... Like, if anyone wants to steal that as a value, then fuck, go for it, because it's pretty cool.
It'll wear you down.
Yeah.
Like it's
hard.
It's directionally correct, right? So it is, for me, it is, do I need to see 6 pandas rolling off logs? That's an example because that's what Taz and I were watching the other night. I'm like, Taz, turn this off. Like, I don't need to consume this. I need to be making stuff. I need to be doing things. I want to
get the whiteboard marker out on the window.
And do things like that. But that was just something that I came up with years ago, 2017, 2016, I think. I've still got the photo of that saved in my in my camera roll. And I think that's a great thing for people to do too, is go back years and years. The beautiful thing about iPhones now is they keep upselling you with more storage. One of the positives of that is, it might cost you more, but you can now go back into your history and you can have a look. Okay, what things am I proud of? What things am I not proud of? And you might realize, like, holy shit, you've become a different version of yourself, and you've done those. For me, I was going to do a post about when the 1 million downloads hit for Keep the Change, about when I first posted about the podcast on LinkedIn, got like 12 likes. And it's just it's all just people that like me. It's like, oh, fuck, here's a dickhead with a podcast. Now everyone's like, So, but that was years ago. But I stayed directionally correct. I aim to contribute and help people, which I just figured out those are things that I liked doing. And then the snowball rolls. But then people tell you along the way that that's helpful, I'm proud, etc. And I've been able to do that with different iterations of things in my life.
Yeah, I think there's also, even though like previously we were talking about celebrating and, making some noise about it, and when you do get a sense of pride, or, like a family member telling them they're proud of you, there's so much like silent stuff that goes on as well, like the DMs, the thanks and all of that stuff. And that's like probably stuff that is like the messages that I get, probably they're not even money or anything. They don't really add to my life in a sense in terms of a day-to-day, but that's probably like quite a thing to be proud of, I reckon.
Definitely. When people stop you when they're mid-run in Queenstown and they're like, hey, I listen to your podcast sometimes. You're like, hey, get back to running. Thank you to whoever that was. It doesn't go unnoticed.
Nah, it doesn't.
But that's a byproduct of contributing and doing stuff. And I think that that's the beauty of playing a team sport as well, is that you can contribute to that. So I think if we can all find something where we can contribute, then these things start to happen. And I think in New Zealand, like you said at the start of this pod, we're looking for everything to be fixed for us, but no one's reminding us like, hey guys, like you guys are going to have to fix it. We're not actually. Yes, I know that we get all the coverage, i.e. like the government and shit, but like we're not actually going to fix all this stuff. We're going to set some boundaries and some frameworks, but it's up to the people of New Zealand to do shit.
Almost like individually, if we do everything individually and then grow from that foundation, the big picture almost gets taken care of itself. Like the saddest part I see is like the trust of the state. Like once everyone falls into like, or the government should do it, or they need to change this or fix this in the system, I'm like, oh, it's just like it hasn't worked for the last 50 years. So how about we try doing it on your own, being an individual, working towards something to be proud of, and see what the result of that is, And there's great stories of individuals that do it, like that. Some of them won't even know it. Like using Dan as an example, Dan Carter, like he probably just liked kicking a ball. I don't know. I haven't watched the documentary or whatever, but it turned into something that he should be very proud of, right? Like he has gone on to be basically a Kiwi legend. And there's many stories like of Kiwis that have done it. And then all of a sudden you've got like kids down at the rugby field kicking with both feet. Inspired by something that he should be proud of, right? Just from doing the best that he can. And working towards that and putting in lots of efforts towards that one thing.
So how can we work on things that are going to make us proud? I guess we all want to do work that makes ourselves proud, but that's something that I heard ages ago that now I think maybe I've taken for granted, but it's that saying like, do work that you're proud of. I think a lot of people aren't.
A good start is to make sure it's not illegal.
Yeah. I was going to use that as an example.
Yeah. So don't do something illegal. And then the next part is, I think, like, I'm a big fan of like reverse engineering your life, like picking what you want it to look like in 10 years and 20 years, whatever, 15 years, and then dialing it back to like today and be like, right, for this to happen, this moment all needs to happen for me to get to here. And then once you rewind it back, it's like, okay, I've got to get up at 6 a.m. instead of 8.
Yeah.
And just these little things to start building the foundation of getting on that roller coaster and letting the snowball roll, to be honest. Like, you'll find that as you go through that, it will just build and build and build. And sometimes you have to pinch yourself and be like, fuck, didn't stop to watch that snowball that's fucking starting to speed up.
Yeah.
And that's quite cool, right? And I think it is hard, but you do have to be strategic in the way that you think, in terms of you need to put effort into it. You can't just be like, I'm just going to go and do a better job at work. I think you actually have to think and then really put some discipline on certain parts that will help you do it and bring it back to, right, what's the next step if I'm going to do this in 10 years?
Yeah, I would suggest that we all individually could write down something that we're proud of, because there'll be some lessons in there. It has to be, for every individual, something that they've done in their life that they're proud of. And it might be achieving something, whatever it is, and go, right, start with that being that's created pride and being proud. So then work backwards to, why did you do that? What was the process? How long did it take? And then see if you can take some lessons from that and reapply it to something else. But equally, I think when we do things that we don't want to do, that's when I think it's great to tell yourself that you're proud of yourself too. So as an example, you might wake up, don't feel so good, but you go to the gym. You get back from the gym and you go, fuck, I'm proud that I got myself there and did it.
Yeah.
Because that's when you build resilience and character and things like that. When you do things, when your body and your brain is like, nah, but you step up and you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, massively, man. I think it's almost like when it's easy to do something and you can do it regularly, it almost doesn't, like, if you have to work for 7 days in a row and you're like, I love this job, blah, 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 the only way that you'll remember that 7-day week is if Wednesday was a fucking prick. Because otherwise you're just going to work for 7 days. But if there's that one day that like shook you up because something happened or you had to really go over and above to get something done. I'm just using work as an example, but this can be in like your sport, this can be in anything. You will remember that week and be like, then those are the things that build up, you know, when you're sitting around having a whiskey when you're 70 years old and you talk about those things of like, remember that time?
Yeah.
You know, those are those things. And there's no easy without hard, right? And I think it's the same thing with pride. Like, you can't be proud of anything if there's not a journey bolted onto it and if there's not a little bit of hard in between it. And it's the same thing as going to the gym when you feel like shit. You know, like it's just forcing yourself almost to do it because you know it's the right thing to do and your logical brain tells you to do it, but your feelings tell you not to.
Anything to dive into, mate, before I make a little bit of a summary of some of the things to get us out of here?
Nah, just become a mean human and be a weapon, eh?
And be proud of yourself.
And be proud of yourself, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to
Or at least work towards it.
Nice. Yeah. And know what you're working towards.
Yeah.
Know what would actually make you proud. Because I think that would be my key lesson for myself, has been to learn how to be proud of myself. Stop waiting for someone else to be proud of me to then validate the fact that I should be proud of myself. Like, decide for yourself how you're going to do it and go after it. The definition of proud says feeling deep pleasure or satisfaction as a result of one's own achievements, qualities, etc. So oneself, that's us. That's not, you know, ringing up someone being like, hey, are you proud of me? If they say no, what, are you done? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what's your answer then?
So secondly, I'm going to make a challenge for everybody that's listening to this right now. Spend 30 seconds off the back of this and write down something you're proud of yourself and then how you got there and how can you replicate more of that. Challenge 2 is to tell somebody in New Zealand that you are proud of them and why. Drop them a text, drop them a little bit of audio, might be an email, fucking pen pal, whatever you got to do. Tell someone, because this seems to be a country where we're not allowed to use this word. Instead, you know, in case we're going to offend someone, or you're bloody arrogant, or all this shit. But I want to grow up telling my kids that I'm proud of them. But I'm only going to do that if they do things that I am, you know, trying to instill in them, and I hope that they'll do things that will surprise me. And equally, I'll say, you know, I'm proud of them. And I think it can be things way smaller than these massive achievements. It might just be picking up someone else's rubbish off the street, for instance, and putting it into the bin, but reminding people that we are proud of them. So I'm sure we've all got somebody that we think is doing something great and that they should be proud of themselves. Well, maybe we need to tell them.
Yeah. It also might be someone that you feel envy or jealousy about how good they're doing. Okay. Imagine flipping that emotion on its head.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. I off the mic, I was just saying, like, I talked to someone the other day and I made a really good point of it when they said that they were going well, to let them know, good on you. Like, that's real cool to hear, because I'm getting a lot of hard stories and things at the moment. We're hearing, you know, like, data out about unemployment, and we're seeing jobs lost in all sorts of sectors. And if someone says they're doing well, they're almost scared to say it at the moment.
Yes. Because
it's going against the grain. Yeah. So Mikey's in there to save the day, being like, fuck, good on you, mate. That's awesome. Give it heaps. Take advantage while you've got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've become more comfortable telling clients and things like, you should be really proud of yourself, almost to let them sit in that, like, oh, no one said, my dad didn't say that to me, I'm not your counsellor, but you know, so that we can have more of those conversations, because I think it is a touchy subject for a lot of people, but there's not many people talking about how. And I even wrote down here, like, who took your pride? If you're not proud of yourself, who took it? Was it someone else? Was it the things that you do, so therefore it's yourself? Like, what camp have you put yourself into?
Yeah.
And only we individually can unpack that stuff and then work the other way to figure out, okay, how am I going to be proud of myself? How am I going to ensure that other people are proud of me?
Yeah, I think so. 100% personal responsibility in that regard. It's only you that can lose it. So it's only you that can get it back.
And the snowball will roll and people will learn from that too. And then maybe we make New Zealand proud of itself once again.
I hope so, man.